In 1943, a steel mill foreman's wife in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, named Dorothea, kept a leather-bound ledger on the shelf above her stove. Her husband Earl earned $34 a week. $11 went to rent. $4 went to the war bond deduction he had signed up for before shipping out. What was left, $19, fed 4 children through the worst winter Pittsburgh had seen in a decade. She never missed a week. By the spring of 1945, Dorothea had quietly built $312 in a passbook savings account. Her neighbors assumed she was borrowing from family. They assumed wrong. She was not borrowing from anyone. She ran a system. It had no name, it had no consultant. It ran on a ruled notebook, a pencil, and the certainty that every cent had to answer for itself before it was spent. They managed money differently on this street, not with a budget app, not with a financial planner, with a ledger, a ration book, and a mother who knew the price of everything down to the last stamp. These women did not look like they were building anything. They looked like they were surviving. Neighbors saw the worn dresses, the vegetable garden in the backyard, the careful way they counted stamps at the counter. They saw scarcity. The truth was something else entirely. These women were running operations, quiet, precise, ruthlessly efficient operations. No name, no manual, no applause. They worked. We threw every one of those habits away the moment the supermarkets opened and the credit cards arrived. We called it modern. We called it progress. The women who fed families of 5 on $19 a week and still found $1 for the war bond drive called it Tuesday. They called it common sense. Right now, the average American household carries $6,200 in credit card debt. Dorothea carried a ledger. The distance between those two things is not a generation, it is a decision. Number 7 on this list saved a Baltimore shipyard worker's wife $4.80 every single month, enough in 1944 to buy 2 full pounds of rationed butter and still have 14 cents left over. Number 12 was practiced inside every apartment building in Detroit until the Office of Price Administration spent 18 months trying to regulate it out of existence and failed completely. And number 1, the single habit more home-front wives maintained than any other across all 4 war years, required no money, no ration stamps, and no government permission. The Office of War Information's 1943 household survey found it in 74% of wartime kitchens. It has virtually disappeared from American homes today. Hit subscribe and let us count down the 18 brilliant ways wartime mothers made everything from scratch when nothing was left. A Navy man's wife in Charleston, South Carolina, named Vera, kept a handwritten price book in 1943. Not a shopping list, a price book. Every item she bought, every store she visited, the price per ounce written in pencil beside it. She shopped at 3 different stores on the same Saturday morning, 1 block apart. The corner grocer charged 9 cents for a can of tomatoes. The store 2 streets over charged 6 cents for the same can. The difference was 3 cents. Across 12 cans a month, that was 36 cents saved. Across the year, $4.32. The Office of Price Administration's 1943 Consumer Survey found that OPA ceiling prices varied legally by store category. Small grocers were permitted higher margins than chain stores. Women who tracked this paid the chain rate for everything. The price book ran out of pages every 3 months. The savings did not run out at all. A munitions worker's wife in Akron, Ohio, named Helen, practiced drip-dry budgeting in 1942. When she received her husband's military allotment check, $28 a month, she cashed it immediately. She divided the bills into 7 envelopes, 1 for rent, 1 for food, 1 for coal, 1 for children's shoes, 1 for medicine, one for soap and cleaning, and one for nothing. The nothing envelope was sacred. It could not be borrowed from. It sat untouched until it held enough to buy an $18.75 war bond. The Federal Reserve's Wartime Savings Report of 1945 found that American households using physical cash envelope systems had default rates on essential expenses 41% lower than those who managed spending from a single account. The envelope did not earn interest, it earned discipline. That was worth more. A Gold Star widow in Baltimore, Maryland, named Agnes, rendered her own fat in 1944. When her husband's name appeared on the casualty list in November 1943, she did not stop cooking. She saved every scrap of bacon drippings in a coffee can on the back of the stove. Every week, she rendered it clean and used it in place of the 4 ounces of cooking fat her ration book allowed per week. Rendered lard cost nothing. The OPA-controlled price for a pound of lard in 1944 was 14 cents plus 4 red ration points. Agnes never spent either. The USDA's Victory Garden Bulletin of 1943 specifically instructed homemakers to save and render all meat drippings as a substitute for rationed fats, noting that a family of 4 could eliminate their entire monthly fat ration purchase by doing so. The war took her husband. It did not take her stove. A factory girl in Detroit named Lorraine grew 12 varieties of vegetables on a 20 by 20-foot lot in 1943. The lot was not hers. It belonged to the city. Detroit's Parks Department had converted 139 city lots into shared victory gardens by the spring of 1943, assigning 20 by 20-foot plots to any resident who applied. Lorraine applied the same week the program opened. Her garden produced $67 worth of vegetables that summer at OPA retail prices. She spent $1.15 on seed packets. The War Production Board's 1944 data showed that American Victory Gardens produced over 40% of all vegetables consumed domestically that year, 8 million tons, grown on 20 million individual plots. Washington told her what she could buy in the store. Nobody told her what she could grow in the ground. An Army wife in Gary, Indiana, named Ruth Ann, soaked and dried her own beans in bulk in 1942. Dried beans were not rationed. They required no red stamps, no blue stamps. A 2-pound bag of navy beans cost 19 cents and fed her family of 3 for 4 full days as the primary protein source. The same caloric value in canned goods would have cost 46 cents and consumed 28 blue ration points. The Office of War Information's 1942 Food Conservation Circular specifically named dried legumes as the single most efficient unrationed protein source available to American households, delivering more protein percent than any rationed alternative. The ration book limited what she could buy in a can. It had no opinion about what she soaked overnight in a pot. A shipyard worker's wife in Norfolk, Virginia, named Clara, mended every garment in the house before she bought anything new in 1943. Shoes were rationed to 3 pairs per person per year. Clothing was not formally rationed, but fabric was scarce, and prices rose 28% between 1942 and 1944 under supply pressure. Clara set aside Sunday afternoons for mending. She kept a button jar. She kept a darning egg. She turned collars when they frayed on one side. A new work shirt for her husband cost $1.89 in 1943. A spool of thread cost 5 cents. She replaced 7 collars that year for 35 cents total. She bought no new shirts. The American Red Cross Home Service Report of 1944 documented that home front families who maintained regular mending and repair habits reduced clothing expenditures by an average of $23.40 per year.
nearly 2/3 of a month's grocery budget for a family of 4. The government rationed the leather. It could not ration her needle. Let us stop the countdown for a moment. There is a woman you need to know about. Her name was Ruth. She lived in Akron, Ohio. In September 1942, she took a night shift at a rubber plant, 11 p.m. to 7 a.m., 6 nights a week. She earned $32 a week. Her husband was somewhere in the Pacific. She had 2 children, ages 4 and 6. A neighbor watched them at night for 50 cents. Every Friday morning before she slept, Ruth walked to the bank. She deposited $9, not when she could, every week, without exception. She kept the remaining $23 for rent, food, coal, and the children's shoes. She never touched the $9 once it was deposited. When her husband came home in October 1945, Ruth handed him a passbook, $1,638. 3 years of Friday mornings, untouched. He had enlisted owing 4 months of back rent. He came home to a paid deposit on a house. The Federal Reserve's 1946 post-war savings report found something remarkable. American women who managed households alone during the war years had personal savings rates 3 times higher than 2-income households. They did not save more because they had more. They saved more because they built a system with no exceptions in it. Ruth did not have more money than her neighbors. She had more Fridays. A Red Cross volunteer in Lowell, Massachusetts, named Estelle, canned 84 jars of vegetables and fruit in the summer of 1943. She did not have a large garden. She had 4 tomato plants, 4 rows of green beans, and a neighbor who shared surplus squash. The OPA allowed extra sugar rations specifically for home canning purposes, 25 additional pounds per household per season upon application. Estelle applied. She received her sugar allowance in June. She canned through July and August, 84 jars at a total materials cost of $3.20. At OPA retail prices, those jars represented $19.60 in preserved food, enough to feed her family through December without touching a blue ration stamp on produce. The USDA's Victory Darden Bulletin of 1943 estimated that a family who canned aggressively during summer could reduce winter food expenditure by 30 to 40%. The ration book ran out every month. The cellar shelf did not. A Navy wife in Bremerton, Washington, kept a use-it-up ledger in 1944. Before she wrote a grocery list, she walked through her kitchen and wrote down everything already in it, every half-used bag of flour, every heel of bread, every leftover tablespoon of bacon fat. Only after she knew exactly what she had did she write down what she needed. Her weekly grocery list averaged 7 items. Her neighbor, shopping without an inventory, averaged 19. The Office of Price Administration's 1944 Household Efficiency Survey found that women who inventoried before shopping reduced food waste by 31% and spent an average of $2.10 less per week than those who did not. The list told her what she was missing. The ledger told her she already had most of it. A steel worker's wife in Pittsburgh named Mildred made her own soap in 1943. Commercial soap was not formally rationed, but glycerin, a soap byproduct, was diverted to munitions production, creating shortages. Bar soap prices rose 22% by 1943. Mildred rendered her kitchen fat with lye she bought for 11 cents a pound. She made 6 bars of usable laundry soap from one batch. Commercial laundry soap cost 8 cents a bar. 6 bars cost 48 cents. Her homemade batch cost 11 cents for the lye and used fat she would otherwise have discarded. The War Production Board's 1943 Homemaking Bulletin listed homemade soap as one of 17 recommended substitutions for commercially scarce household goods. Washington could ration the glycerin, it could not ration her lye and her patience. An army wife in Baltimore named Frances cooked from the back of the ration book, not the front. The ration book's blue stamps, processed foods, were the first thing most women spent. The red stamps, meat, dairy, fat, were the scarce ones. Frances reversed the order. She stretched her red stamps by building every week's meals around unrationed staples first: potatoes, dried beans, oatmeal, cornmeal.